Oh, hi. Welcome to Aquata Zoo, where we like to nerd out over all things zoo and aquarium related. I'm l.semple, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about learning those skills. It's the end of the year, and a new year's upon us, and we're starting to plan and all that fun stuff. And I figured now was probably a good time to bring it up because for some of us, we have end of year reviews happening, and we are making our goals for the next fiscal year and the next year in general. And that might be work related, it might not be work related, whatever. I just thought it would be a good time to bring it up that you should always learn a new skill. Admittedly, this is coming from somebody who's a lifelong learner. I love to learn things. I get interested in stuff. I'll look up a bajillion videos about it or read a book or something like that. It's just how my brain works. I crave that kind of knowledge. I'm always curious. So, understanding that I am that type of person, I'm still advising you to stretch yourself, grow a little bit, learn something new, because you never know how it could benefit you down the road. And, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be work-related, but it could be. And you may notice that you're interested in something and want to learn more, and it's not obviously work-related, but then it becomes work-related because of the new skills and nuance and wider knowledge that you have of things that work outside of your actual day-to-day activities and how you can incorporate those skills into your work now. I know I've mentioned this before, but at one point I worked on a high ropes course in addition to my aquarium work, and I learned some fancy knot tying that I still use to this day for aquarium work because some things just need to get tied down, tied up, whatever, secured. And sometimes a particular knot is the best way to do it, one that tightens itself or one that is easy to tie and also easy to release if somebody who is not a big knot tyer comes across it. So there are knots for all sorts of purposes. And so my climbing experience has served me well in my aquarium work, oddly enough. Now, for that, I wasn't necessarily super interested in climbing. I did learn a lot about it when I was doing that job. I was more interested in the work itself and kind of helping people out, and it was a new facility in a convenient location for me, and they were looking for people, and I was like, I could do that. So that wasn't necessarily like, I need to learn a new skill, but I kind of fell into it, and I did enjoy it. It was fun. I will say for that job, it was nice to be able to disconnect from my aquarium work and go do the climbing work, because anything that kind of frustrated me during the day, I could really get out during a climbing session or just working with some other people. I didn't have to think about the aquarium stuff. And so it was kind of a nice disconnect, and always getting out there and getting physical is good for you. But I digress. I usually advise people whenever there's training available to go ahead and take it because you never know if you're going to love that thing or not. And I've done it before myself. When I was a baby aquarist, we were in need of people who could work with reptiles, namely venomous reptiles. And so I went through a whole training course and did lots of practice and managed to become, certified is not the word because there's not really a certification for it, but I became fully trained for working venomous animals. And I will always look back on that fondly, even though I was at first very apprehensive about it because I had never done that before. I had not ever been a huge fan of snakes. I just didn't work with them and didn't really pay attention to them, so I didn't know. But through the course of that work, I learned to love them. And learned how challenging it can be and was contributing to the safety of my coworkers and my organization, which, made me happy. And eventually it led to me being one of the main keepers of venomous animals for that institution. And it served me well when I went on to other institutions. So while I wasn't a main herps keeper again, after that, so far at least I haven't been, it did give me a lot of knowledge of how that works, the nuances of caring for reptiles and amphibians and things, and just a better understanding of that side of aquarium work with animal care so that I could lend a hand later. And I was able to do so for another facility, and I'm very happy with that. But the experiences that I had during that time and, it leading to an assignment where I was the one taking care of the venomous animals, that was really important. Had I not decided to just go through with the training when it was offered, I never would have been able to find my place as a herps person for that institution. I just bring it up because you never know what's going to happen or how you might be useful or how things could change, right? Nobody at the time that the training was being offered knew that we were about to lose our herps folks, right? Stuff like that happens, People have to leave the field for whatever reason, and all of a sudden there's an opening and nobody knows what to do with that. So we might have had to hire somebody from outside, which is not the end of the world, but that would have been a little unusual for that institution. And honestly, it's best to have like a deep bench when you're talking about working with venomous animals, just because if somebody gets injured or isn't well and can't work with those animals, you need to have somebody who can provide the care that's needed and who is confident enough and skilled enough to provide that care, right? So I'm glad that I took that opportunity for training, and because of that, because of what I learned, the good experiences that I had, and the fact that then that led to job opportunities later, I always advise people, if you find that there's training available that you're being offered at your place of employment, take it. Do it. You never know where it's going to lead you. I guess technically I kind of did it again when I was interested in getting a master's degree, but I didn't know what exactly I wanted to get a master's degree in. I didn't know of any programs that would work. At that time, it required a lot of in-person classes, and it was expensive, of course, and I didn't know what to do about that. All I knew was that I wanted to continue my higher education. And I understand it's not for everybody, but this is this is just what happened to me, right? So I got wind of an experimental, I guess, master's degree situation involving the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA, as well as a higher education institution. And I looked into it and I was like, oh, sure, I'll apply for that. Why not? It's the only one that seems to fit the criteria that I'm looking for. It's related to my job, sort of. And it is kind of within my price range. Like, I wouldn't say that it was cheap, but it was definitely better than most master's programs that I had researched at the time. I sent off my application, didn't think much more about it. And then 2 years later, after I worked at a different institution than the one that I applied with, then I got a call that said, hey, can you start school this week? I panicked a little bit, but I was like, sure, let's go. Let's do this. And I ended up getting a master's degree in zoo and aquarium leadership, and it was great. It introduced me to the fact that I needed to pay more attention to people because it was zoo and aquarium leadership. And I realized at that time, at that point in my career and my life, I realized that, yes, I joined the field because I was interested in working with animals and not so much with people, but I have to work with people regardless, right? So that's when I realized that, all of these people joined in this, well, not all, but most of us joined into this field thinking the same thing. I don't want to work with people. I only want to work with animals. And then when you get a whole bunch of people who are like that, chaos ensues because no one wants to work with each other. At that point, after having this education and realizing what was going on and seeing it a lot more clearly, I understood that we needed to make some changes. And by we, I mean our industry. And the same goes for many technical industries. A lot of engineers are the same way, architects, like it's technical work where you join because maybe you're a little introverted, maybe you're just really interested in the technical aspects of that work, not really paying attention to the fact that there are people that also are involved with that work and you have to learn to work with them. You kind of technically disregard the people aspect in favor of the actual work that you're trying to get done. But what you need is both. In order for this all to work smoothly, we all need to be on the same page and understand what's going on. work on relationships together and get through it together, right? Because we can't do any of this on our own. This is actually a team effort, even though we delude ourselves into saying that, oh, I just got into this because I like doing the technical work. Thanks to my master's degree, I realized that this is something that I needed to do. Like, it speaks to my soul, which I never would have guessed before that master's degree happened. I would not have guessed that I would be so interested in the people stuff and so driven to help fix it for my industry, for zoos and aquariums. And so I just, that one I kind of stumbled upon accidentally, but I learned a lot about myself in the process, which I found very interesting. Even though I just really wanted the master's degree and just was looking for a program that I thought might work, just I might not love it, but at least it's something, right? It was zoo and aquarium related because it was specifically about zoos and aquariums. And when other people hear about what my master's degree and they're like, wow, that is specific. And yes, it is. But prior to doing that work, I wouldn't have realized A, how bad the situation is in some facilities and how it could be fixed, and B, that I was actually really interested in helping to fix those problems because I know how bad they can get, and I've experienced it myself. And being powerless in that sort of situation where you've got like kind of a toxic leader because they just don't know how to lead because they are technical people who got into the industry because they liked working with animals and then somehow got promoted into a leadership job, but were not given access to that skill set, or were not informed that they needed to pick up more skills, right? That were related to people rather than animals, right? And again, the same thing goes for a lot of technical fields. And so before I did my master's degree, I wouldn't have known that this was so interesting and so like powerful for me in particular. So it's like my life goal at this point to fix this sort of thing when I see it in various types of organizations. Now, not all organizations are like that, and it's not as bad as it used to be. Definitely. I think people are a little bit more aware when toxic leadership is happening, but not always. And we can head it off before it gets to that point by giving people the chance to learn these people skills and kind of get it into their head early that they need to understand how to work with people in addition to working with animals. So basically, I'm hoping that with all the work that I'm trying to do at this point in that regard, we're going to get to the point that we have lots of people who are understanding of the fact that if they want to move up from where they are currently in their zoo or aquarium, they need to learn additional skills that are not necessarily animal care related. It's hard. I understand. You have to be very self-aware to be able to recognize that. I fortunately have been blessed with a decent amount of self-awareness, and I realized very quickly once I started going through my leadership courses that I did not have it. I thought I was pretty good, and I needed a lot of work. And so I'm happy to say that I've been working on it. I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes still. I try to be very open about that and show that I'm trying, because this is not how I naturally would approach things, I suppose. If somebody comes to me with a problem, my automatic instinct is to try to fix it, right? And that's lovely in certain scenarios, but often what people really need are just support for what they're thinking, or they just want to vent, or something like that. Like there's a lot more at play here than just a simple let's find a solution, right? And so it's taken me a long time to be very aware of what my automatic thought is and to like curb that so that this person that I'm talking to has a chance to grow. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I forget because my knee-jerk reaction just does what it does, right? I don't always catch it in time. But that's the kind of thing that I didn't know that I needed because I hadn't really exposed myself to an education about that. I'm not saying you have to go back to school at all. School's not for everyone, and also it's expensive. Don't do it if you don't want to, right? But at the same time, read a book. You can go to the library. You can watch some videos, see some TED Talks, whatever it is about a subject that you're kind of interested in. Maybe you don't know if you're actually interested in it, right? Or maybe it's something that you've long dreamed of doing, but you just haven't had the bandwidth or the drive to do it. This is a great time of year to kind of reevaluate those things and figure out what you do and do not want to do. And not necessarily set unattainable goals or resolutions, I suppose, that hardly have any merit. But if you're setting goals for like work or really just kind of trying to figure out what's next, if you feel like you've been kind of aimless, maybe it's time to learn something new to point you in a different direction. Now, if you try something new and you realize this is not for me, that is okay. Maybe you could set a goal for yourself, or maybe just investigate 2 or 3 new avenues, right? Maybe you're interested in cooking, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be related to your work. Just go in a different direction. Check some stuff out. See if you're actually interested in it. Just exploring things that you're interested in, or even if it's vague interest, helps to solidify your interests, as well as kind of help give yourself some guidance, I suppose, about what the future looks like. You may be ready to switch gears completely. You may need to plan ahead. I work in a pretty physical field, right? Like animal care is very physical. I went into my master's degree with the intent of maybe learning something so that I could pivot, still be in animal care, but maybe more of a manager rather than a keeper, just because it's hard on your body. And I knew I couldn't do it forever, right? I'm okay with my mortality here. And so that's why I started to explore other options, because I didn't want to necessarily leave my field entirely, but I did want to change my capabilities. And so that is what led me to that master's degree, which changed everything. And I'm not saying you have to get a master's degree to change your mind about stuff. Not at all. You can easily get invested in other ways. You can look up free resources. You can maybe do online coaching, teaching, mentoring, get some of that going so you actually understand the subject pretty deeply and make your decisions about that, right? Maybe you'll incorporate it into your current work. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll make it a nice hobby. Everyone is different. You may have a clear kind of guide for your future, right? What else do you need to reach that goal? This is a good time to ask yourself those questions and be realistic about it. If you have a dream of being an astronaut at some point, what can get you a baby step closer to that goal, right? Is it getting physically fit? Okay, that could be one. Is it like understanding rocket science? I don't know. Maybe. So what steps can you take to get you there? That one might actually require a degree, but but you know what I'm saying? Just using it as a random example of how this looks. If you have a very clear picture of where you see yourself in X amount of time, what baby step can you take today to kind of move you in that direction? In my case, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do animal care forever. And so I looked at curators and directors and thought, what do I need to do to get there? And not that I needed to go whole hog and get a master's degree or a doctorate degree. I didn't need to do that, but I just wanted to for some reason because I'm a glutton for punishment. But that's what I chose to do, right? But I could have easily just read a whole bunch of books, watched a bunch of videos online, TED Talks, done some low-key, like, career management type of activities. There are lots of options available online, especially. And so if this is something you're kind of interested in, if anything kind of piques your interest as far as getting a half a step closer to that goal that you envision for yourself down the road, look into doing that. Maybe you don't have the money for it right now. That's fine. But maybe you could go to the library and read a book. Maybe you could talk to somebody who already does that job and get more details about how that worked, how they went through their career, so you can kind of avoid their mistakes and kind of plot a course for yourself, right? And so I guess it's kind of about ambition, right? But it's also kind of just about growing yourself as a professional and as a human who has interests and hobbies and things. Like I said, this doesn't have to be work related. There have been lots of people that I've known who are like, oh, you're a marine biology nerd. Oh, I got a scuba certification. I haven't used it in years, but I loved it, right? And I should go again. I should go diving again. And it's like, yes, go do that thing. If that's what you love, then go for it. That kind of thing is how career pivots happen too. You find something new, you're super invested and you love it, love it, love it. And all of a sudden you find a way you can turn that into a career, right? You didn't even know that existed before you did a little exploring of the possibilities. So never write it off. It can always become a little part of what makes you you, something you enjoy, something you know to avoid even, if you don't enjoy it, as it turns out. And that could lead you down your next path ahead, right? You may find that this is really something that drives you and gives you motivation to keep going and to get further and further into this interest or hobby or, school, whatever it is. And now you're ready to make it into a career. Well, with that knowledge that you have at this point, since you did the exploration and you did some probing and you did some skill building on your own, you will be more prepared to actually make that happen. I definitely recommend, if you have no idea how to get from where you are now to where you envision yourself being, talk to somebody who is in that position. Even if there's only one in the world, maybe try to get their attention and talk to them. And people who are in those types of positions are usually more than willing to have a quick chat about their career path and how they got there. People love talking about themselves. Let them do it for you. They'll be able to give you information about what hiccups they had on their way up the chain or whatever, and advise you on easier ways to make this work, things that they wish they could have done had it been an option at the time, perhaps, and avoiding pitfalls that they had that slowed them down. And also, they might be able to network with you, right? Either that person becomes part of your network or they recommend people who would be even better fits to be in your network, right? And so all of that really helps. I don't know what everyone's interests are, what their hobbies might be, what their side hustles could be, but it all helps to build confidence and skill in very many things, if nothing else, right? It's not wasted time, I guess. Keeps your brain active, perhaps it keeps your body active, and you just have a better sense of who you are, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. And you can apply that in various different ways to your work if you choose to do so. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, because this is a good time of year when people are kind of reflecting on the year that's passed and the year ahead. And I don't necessarily think that you need to set tons of goals or have New Year's resolutions or anything like that. But also, I think you should examine if you are where you wanted to be. Like, what improvements do you feel like you could make to your life, whether it's at work or at home or whatever? What skills would you like to have, or what knowledge would you like to have that you don't have currently? And just go from there. What's interesting to you? After I'm done with my doctorate, I'm going to get into more cooking, I think, because I enjoy it very much. And language, because I also enjoy that. Being able to communicate is very helpful. So those are the avenues that I'm going to go once I'm done with my schoolwork, I believe. And I don't know where that's going to take me. It's got really nothing to do with what I do. And I guess I could go to another country and do the same work there. I have no idea. We'll see what happens. But it's at least something that I can do that will build on my curiosity for things, and hopefully I will make some really good food and be able to speak some awesome languages. But these are just like skills and knowledge that I would like to have that I don't have currently, and that I do plan to build once this pesky schoolwork is out of the way, right? I don't necessarily have time for it now, but I will at some point. And so this is a great time of year to think about those things, where we are now, where we want to be, and how do we fill in those gaps, even if it's just like a teeny tiny step in the right direction. I knew I wanted my master's degree. I did not know that I was going to uncover a desire to be a leadership expert, I guess. I feel weird using that word, but by the end of this, I'm going to have a doctorate in that. So if anybody could be an expert, I guess that would be me, right? Even though that sounds really strange and feels very weird, that's kind of where we're at this point. I didn't know that the leadership stuff, the behaviors, the people stuff was going to be so interesting, but I know how important it is for organizations like mine and the others that I've worked in the past, and how important leadership is, good leadership, and how to make it better when things have gone awry. It's all really, really important, and it contributes to the better lives of the people involved. And so that is very important to me, and I did not realize it until I went to my master's degree and understood that zoos and aquariums are more than just the animals. They are also people. It makes sense. I understand there's guests around, there's staff. Like, I should have known that. And I saw these people every day. I just didn't understand what role I could have with all of that. I had gotten into it for one particular purpose and I was accomplishing that. But then I realized, oh, I can't do this forever because my body's not going to hold out. And so I need to be able to pivot. How do I pivot but still remain in animal care, which is where I want to be? Then I realized, oh, I guess I need this entire different skill set, which then was the master's degree. It kind of introduced me to all that, and now I'm obsessed. And you never know where that's going to lead me down the road. A lot of people ask me why I'm getting the doctorate, and I honestly don't know, other than I want to be really, really good with this leadership stuff. And I feel like I'm getting there. It's not going to be perfect. I have a lot more to learn, but someday I'll be comfortable enough to say that I'm something of an expert with that, but it is not today. So yeah, end of the year, beginning of the new year. Time to think about where we're at right now, where we would like to be, and exploring what we need to do to get there. Exploring what other things interest us, whether it's job related or not, whether it's home stuff or a hobby, or just whatever kind of information that you might be missing, knowledge that you'd like to gain, skills that you would like to have. It doesn't have to be work related. It could mean a career pivot if you like it enough, and just exploring something new. Keep that mind going. Keep learning new things. Keep active in whatever way you deem appropriate so that we're not stagnating here, because it's an easy route to being disappointed with life, or, just being maybe a little depressed about it. So I crave the knowledge and understand that I am a lifelong learner, but being able to pick up new skills and learn new things is really helpful, and you never know how it's going to benefit you. So keep going, pick up something new, figure out what you need or want to learn about, and just go do it. You don't have to spend lots of money or necessarily tons of time learning that kind of stuff, right? There's lots of resources available online. You can go to your library and get more. You can just talk to people who do that thing that you're so interested in and get more information about how to go about it. Not everything has to cost an arm and a leg, and not everything has to be completely out of reach, right? There are ways you can just take little baby steps in the direction you want to go before you maybe even make a big leap, right? So maybe now's not the time to spend a bunch of money on an online course learning how to do X, Y, or Z, but maybe you could read a couple books to prepare yourself for that eventuality. And then while in the midst of that, putting some money away to actually take that course maybe next year, right? My point is just learn something new. Be understanding of, as you're making your work goals for next year, you can incorporate that into those work goals, right? It's that time of year. And just keep learning. Keep being hungry for skills and knowledge and things that will benefit you in all of the ways down the road. If you have any questions about that or any other zoo or aquarium things, you can write it up in an email and send it to me at aquatazoo@gmail.com. If you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you do, don't forget to follow or subscribe on your podcast player of choice. That way you'll get all of that sweet, sweet content as soon as it releases. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can find me at patreon.com/aquatazoo. And if you'd like to take a vacation and you don't know where to start, I happen to be a personal vacation advisor with Magical Vacation Planner, and I would love to help you out. It does not cost you anything extra. The links are in the show notes. Okay. Thanks for listening. I heart your faces. Okay, bye.